This is the Nubia Z60 Ultra, one of the most underrated flagship phones out there today. In today's video, let me show you why I think it is very underrated. Hey guys, my name is Ash, you're watching C4E Tech, and if you can, drop this video a like, let the algorithm gods know you actually like my content. Now let's be fair, some people do find unboxings boring, but even for those people, I'd say this one is very interesting. Just look at this box. If you, like me, grew up in the 90s, then these kind of holographic stickers or 3D stickers, whatever you called it, it's gonna stir up a little bit of nostalgia. This is the Starry Night edition, inspired by Van Gogh's painting of the same name. We have branding all around, and no, my lens is not out of focus. It's just a stylistic choice that Nubia has made. They show some kind of motion blur effect all around, and it's the cover that actually causes it. Now see here, without the cover, it's just your regular branding. We have an embossed Z60 Ultra on top of the box. Now once you open it up, the lid, it says Starry Night. The box, it again has a Van Gogh quote. These are all part of that collector's edition aesthetic. Okay, here we go. Moment of truth. We now get to the Nubia Z60 Ultra. Let me get it out of that protective plastic. Now guys, my first thought on picking this phone up was, man, it feels like a brick. And it's probably true because it weighs in at an insane 246 grams, so pretty heavy. But to be fair, it also has a 6000 mAh battery, and the cameras, we will get to the cameras, I digress. Sorry. Now it is not just the presentation that I say is interesting, it's a lot more. Just look at the box contents. These days, if you see, it's not uncommon for brands to cut out chargers, but here Nubia has actually provided more than one. First, you have this adapter. It's got two Type-C ports, a Type-A port. It maxes out at 65 watts, so it's something neat for you to have around when you're traveling. You can charge multiple devices with it. And then there's also this. This is the standard Z60 Ultra charger. It's 80 watts, and because this is the collector's edition, it's got some custom artwork on it. Now using this, you can charge that 6000 mAh battery from 0 to 80% in half an hour. 100% charge is going to take another 10 minutes. That's it. There is a con. There is no wireless charging. Now Nubia has included not one but two identical Type-C to Type-C cables. Then we have the SIM ejector tool, the regular quick start guide, and finally the last thing in the box is the Starry Night inspired case. Now if you remember, with the Red Magic 9 Pro we got that crappy transparent case. Compared to that, I really love this. From the looks perspective, the sun kind of envelopes the primary sensor. I think that was a nice touch. They also have a hole down below for a lanyard to go through. And this is funny. You know how I said there is no wireless charging? But this metal ring here allows you to use MagSafe accessories with this case. Now you might think it's ridiculous, but the fact is MagSafe accessories are getting more popular these days, like holders and all that. So I think it's an inoffensive little touch of convenience. Quick tip, you can find these stickers on Amazon, AliExpress or Temu. You can just stick them onto your phone or your case and get your device to work with MagSafe accessories if that is something you want to do. Just letting you guys know. Now coming to the back of this phone, I really love what they've done. At first glance, it seems like there are so many different layers, it should feel different, but it doesn't. When you touch it, when you feel it, it's just regular frosted matte glass. And because of that, it's pretty resistant to fingerprints. Anyways, like I said, this is the Starry Night Collector's Edition. Alternatively, Nubia also offers this phone in black and silver. Okay guys, the best way for me to describe the Z60 Ultra would be to call it a Red Magic 9 Pro with better cameras. It's got a very similar display, it's got the same boxy build, identical dimensions actually, and it does lose out on some things like the headphone jack, the capacitive triggers, the RGB LEDs, the active cooling fan, even a little bit of battery, but instead it gains an IP68 rating and much better cameras. Just look at this camera array. It's a very unique setup, and by the way, this is not Leica branding. I thought it was. This really feels like they were trying to mimic the Leica branding or something. If you thought it was Leica, leave a comment. Just let me know I'm not crazy. Now this circular camera, this is the primary, the one with the red ring. It's Sony's 50 megapixel IMX800 and it's paired with the f1.49 lens, so very wide aperture. It's also optically stabilized. Now the images, they look pretty darn amazing to me. They are well detailed, the dynamic range is excellent, the colors are very accurate. Even under low light, I think this camera, it performs really well. What is unique here is the fact that the lens, it's not your standard 23-25mm lens, but a 35mm equivalent. So you get a not too common perspective. Things are a little bit zoomed in. Now add to it that wide f1.49 aperture. The depth of field is very shallow. You get a very natural bokeh, as in stronger natural background blur. Now you might think, what if I just want to shoot the way I do on other phones, that 23-25mm primary, if that's what I want? Well, you can kind of do that too on this phone. Now this is the secondary. Cosmetically, every sensor here looks different. That's because they are unique. I think that's what Nubia is trying to convey. This one's a 18mm ultra wide, and you can tap here, slightly crop in to get a 24mm equivalent and shoot. Again, if you're wondering, dude, it's an ultra wide camera. Of course, it's gonna be lower quality, narrower aperture, no OIS, right? So how am I gonna get a good experience with it? If that's what you're thinking, you're not wrong. That's what happens with most phones. But here, Nubia has done things a little differently. This is another strong sensor, 50 megapixels OmniVision OV50E. And the ultra-wide lens also has a wide aperture f1.8, and it's also stabilized. I can't remember the last time I covered a phone that had OIS on the ultra-wide camera. If you can think of any, just let me know in the comments. Now coming to the third sensor, like I said, the design unique. This is rectangular. This is the periscope zoom. Now technically, if you take the primary as 35mm, it's 2.4x zoom, but compared to your regular 23-25mm lens, this is what we'd call 3.5x. Once again, they've used a solid sensor, the OV64B, 64 megapixels, paired with the f3.3 periscope telephoto. This one, again, optically stabilized. So all three cameras come with lenses that have optical stabilization. Sweet, right? Now guys, note that only the primary can do 8K 30, but all three can do 4K 60. In fact, they can all do 4K 120. So let's now take a look at a short clip I threw together. Hope you like that. Now it's not all roses. If I were to talk cons, the selfie camera. Nubia has gone for a pretty much invisible under the display selfie cam. 16 megapixels on this Chinese unit, 12 megapixels on the international units. Now this is most definitely the weakest link here with respect to optics. It still gets the job done, the results are still fine, but the under display selfie tech is just not there. It's just not gonna compete with even a mid-range standard selfie camera. Now moving on, I really like some of the camera options that Nubia has to offer, especially this one right here. Now you can choose any three sensors and then shoot an image. It's nothing new, but I love how Nubia has implemented this. You can frame all three shots at once, and once you've taken the shot, you can now just select the focal length you want from one single picture in the gallery. Kinda unique, neat, right? Now, if we are gonna talk software, the Nubia Z60 Ultra, it runs on what they're calling myOS 14, which is built on top of Android 14. Now this custom skin is nothing new. It's very similar to Red Magic OS that we saw on the Red Magic 9 Pro. And given this combination hardware software, the phone is very responsive, it's very snappy. That's also because of the 120Hz display here. Now this display, it's not identical to what we saw on the Red Magic 9 Pro. It is very similar though. So still 6.8 inches, the resolution slightly over Full HD, refresh rate like I said 120Hz. The difference here is with brightness. It's slightly lower for HDR, 1500 nits instead of 1600. Manually, you get 600 nits instead of 650. And under auto, you get 820 nits instead of 1100. So it's not quite as bright, but still very much usable outdoors on a sunny day. Now, just like with that Red Magic phone, there's a toggle to the side here too. Now, by default, it launches and exits the camera app. Personally, if you ask me, on a camera-focused phone, I would have preferred to see a two-stage shutter key like what Sony does on the Xperia phones. But this one, it does have its pros. It can be mapped to do quite a few things. For example, you can have it control the flashlight or act as a alert slider or a mute toggle. Or if you really like that Red Magic experience, you can set it to act the same way it does on the Red Magic 9 Pro, just use it to trigger game space. Talking about game space, most gaming related features that aren't hardware dependent, they're all present here. You can turn on Rise mode, use bypass charging and all that. And with respect to gaming, no complaints, most games ran very well. This phone it does tend to get a little bit warm, but it does not throttle as easily as other 8 Gen 3s. The stability score, it's in the top 3 amongst phones I've recently tested. The only two that beat it are the Red Magic 9 Pro and the ROG Phone 8 Pro, both gaming phones. So like I said, the gaming experience, it's really good because of that Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, the uninterrupted display, the stereo speakers. And yeah, the stereo speakers, let me quickly show you how it sounds. Alright guys, it's now time to talk about the price. This phone, the Z60 Ultra, it starts at 4299 RMB in China, which if you convert it, it's about 50,000 Indian rupees or 600 US dollars. This particular version, the Starry Night Collector's Edition, this is priced at 4999 RMB, kinda converts to 60,000 rupees or 700 US dollars. So the pricing, it does feel competitive, but even regardless of that pricing, I still feel the Z60 Ultra, it offers a very unique experience. Nubia is kind of going in a different path compared to other mainstream manufacturers. Like 3 proper cameras with stabilization, exceptional performance, the highest capacity battery on a non-gaming 8 Gen 3, a very unique design, an IP68 rating, a competitive price, and there's also those small little touches all over that help improve the user experience. So I'd say consider me sold. Now, on the other hand, as blown away as I am by the Z60 Ultra, I still see there are some things that Nubia could have done better. So room for improvement, I'd say maybe they could have included wireless charging, and the build, a little bit of curve to the side would have helped make this phone a little more ergonomic. And here's a hot take. I would have preferred if they'd gone with a hole punch. I know it takes away from that wow factor, yes I get it, but here's my reason. On a phone that's so good with optics, it's got that very strong triple camera setup to the back. For it to have mediocre selfies, I'm not blaming Nubia, I just feel under display selfie camera technology is not at a point where it can compete with hole punch cameras. So here, on a phone that's so focused on optics, to me personally, I would have preferred a hole punch, a better selfie camera. What do you think? And what do you think about this phone overall? Let me know in the comments guys, and thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.